Hey, welcome to The Explainer. We're the show that breaks down big topics into clear, concise presentations.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a question. If you have a list of items, say a music playlist or maybe your contacts in your phone, what's the hardest part about managing it?
It's usually not adding things to the end, right? The real headache, that's when you try to change things right in the middle.
With a standard list, what a programmer would call an array, inserting something is surprisingly clumsy. You have to find the spot, and then you have to physically move every single item that comes after it, one by one, just to make a little bit of room.
Now, for a short list, hey, no big deal. But just imagine your music playlist with like thousands of songs. If you wanted to slot in a new track near the top, that would mean the app has to shift thousands of other songs just to make space. But it feels instant, doesn't it? Well, that's because some really smart programmers figured out there has to be a more elegant way to do this.
And that solution? It's called the linked list. And honestly, the best way to think about it is less like a fixed row of boxes and more like a scavenger hunt, where each clue tells you exactly where to find the next one.
Okay, so the basic building block of this whole scavenger hunt is something called a node. Just think of it like a little container. And inside, it's got two really important parts.
So the first part is easy. That's where you put your actual information, the song title, the contact name, whatever it is. But the second part, that's the clever bit. It doesn't hold data. Instead, it holds a pointer, which is basically just the address or the location of the very next node in the chain.
And look, this visualizes our scavenger hunt perfectly. You start at that first pointer, right? And that leads you to the first node. That node has its data and a pointer to the second node. And that second one, it points to the third, and on it goes, creating this whole chain of interconnected clues.
Okay, so if it's just a chain of pointers, how in the world do you add or remove a link without breaking the whole thing? Well, this is where the real magic of the linked list kicks in.
Inserting a new item is just a simple three-step dance of rewiring these pointers. First, you create your new node. Then, you point its next arrow to the item that used to be next. And finally, you just change the previous item's arrow to point to your new one. Boom, done. Notice what we didn't do? We didn't shift a single thing.
So just think about what that means for a second. You're not moving thousands of items around in the computer's memory. Not at all. You're just quickly updating two little addresses. It's like changing directions on a map, not trying to move a bunch of heavy boxes.
Now, deleting a node follows a pretty similar logic. You basically just bypass it. But, and this is a big but, if you do it the wrong way, you create this really subtle but very serious problem.
Yeah, this problem is called a memory leak. And I love this analogy. It's like leaving the lights on in a room you can never, ever enter again.
So here's what's happening. If you just change the pointers to skip over a node, that node is now orphaned. The chain doesn't point to it anymore, right? So your program has literally no way of finding it. But, and here's the problem, it's still taking up space in the computer's memory, and that space can't be used for anything else, it's just wasted.
Okay, so the correct way to do this has a super important third step. First, you find the node before the one you want to delete. Second, you rewire its pointer to bypass the target, just like we talked about. But third, and this is the critical part, you have to explicitly tell the computer to delete that now orphaned node, which frees up its memory so it can be used again.
All right, so we've seen the concept, we've seen the diagrams. Now let's take a quick look at how this idea of rewiring pointers actually translates into the instructions a computer understands. The code.
And what's just so cool about this is how cleanly it all translates. This one single line of code you see here that performs that entire bypassing action we just described. It's a really simple instruction that just tells the previous node, hey, point your next arrow to whatever the current node was pointing at.
And this command, delete cur node, well, that's that crucial final step we were just talking about. This is the instruction that tells the computer, okay, we are totally done with this node, you can have its memory back now. This is what prevents that memory leak.
Okay, so now that we get how they work and some of their dangers, when should a programmer actually choose to use a linked list instead of just a standard array? When does it make sense?
This table really breaks it down perfectly. Look, if you need to jump straight to, say, the 500th item in a list, an array is way, way faster, no question. But if your program is going to be constantly adding or removing items from the middle of the list, a linked list is so much more efficient, all because it avoids that painful shifting process.
So the big takeaway here is that in programming, there's hardly ever a single best solution for everything. It's all about understanding these trade-offs.
The choice between an array and a linked list, it depends entirely on what your program needs to do most of the time. It really is about choosing the right tool for the right job.
And hey, we'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Now that you understand this elegant scavenger hunt logic of the linked list, where do you think they might be hiding in the software you use every day? From your music player's next song button to your web browser's back button, they are a fundamental and totally invisible part of the technology you're using right now.